Hello everyone, my name is Arohi and in my today's video I'll show you how to perform image classification using PyTorch. So we are going to have our custom dataset and we will perform image classification on it. So first of all, let's understand what is image classification. So image classification is a task where your model provides single label or single category to the entire image. So for example, for this image, this is the label provided by our model, and for this image, this is the label provided by our model. So this is called image classification, and today we are going to see practically step by step how to create your custom image classifier using PyTorch. So let's start. So guys, to run today's code, you need Python, and on that Python you need PyTorch because we are using PyTorch framework for this image classification task. So you need PyTorch. So to download the Python, you can visit this Python official website and you can download the Python from here. The version which I am using is this, and then you have to download the PyTorch. So I have downloaded the PyTorch, which is compiled with CUDA. So if you are working with GPU, right, then you can then you have to install the PyTorch, which is compiled with CUDA version, which is there in your PC. Okay, and if you're working with CPU, then you have to install the PyTorch version which is compatible with CPU. And this is the site. From here you can see these commands. From here you can choose the right command which is suitable for as per your resources. Okay, so once you have these things, now you are ready to run this image classification task. Guys, before moving to the coding part, before moving to the how to train the model, let's discuss about the dataset, how to prepare the dataset for this model. Okay, so for that you can check this folder. I will show you. See here. So I have a dataset folder. Create one folder with the name of dataset, and under that create two folder with the name of train and val. Train folder, open that, and guys, here you can see I have one folder name Daisy and another folder name is Dandelion. So what I'm doing for today's class is we have two classes, Daisy and Dandelion, and these are the class names. Remember to write the name. Okay, so because these folder names will become your class labels, so write the names accordingly. So these are the two classes which I am using for today's class. So at the end of this video, our PyTorch image classification model will be able to classify if the image we provided the model is a dandelion or a daisy. Okay, so now let's open one folder. So we have 200 images of daisies over here, and in dandelion we have 200 images of dandelion. So I'm using these 400 images to train my model, and in the same way inside the val folder you have to again create two folders, daisy and dandelion. These are our class labels. Inside daisy I have 77 images, and inside dandelion I have around 105 images. Okay, so on this dataset I will test my model, validate my model performance. Okay, so now you have the dataset. Guys, after that I'm using a Jupyter notebook. Okay, this Jupyter notebook, the link is given in description section. You can take this code from there. So first of all, I'm importing all the required modules. After that, in this cell here, so guys, what we are doing here is we are performing data augmentation. Okay, so what all data augmentations we are doing? So first one is this random, resized, crop, and 224 over here. So what it means is that we want to randomly resize and crop all the input images to this size, 224 into 224 pixel size. Okay, and then the another transformation we want to use, the another this augmentation technique we want to use is this random horizontal flip. This will horizontally flip the image. Okay, and then we are using transforming all the data two images to a tensor. Why? Because PyTorch accepts the data in the form of tensor. So that's why this is a mandatory step. You have to convert your dataset into a tensor. So that's what we are doing. And after that, we are normalizing the data so that our whole input data, training data can be on same scale, okay, similar scale. So this first value, second value, and this is third value, RGB. So we are working on colored images, RGB images. So there are 3 channels. So first channel value, second channel value, and third channel values. And then over here, we are just performing, we are standardizing that value, we're performing standard deviation on it, okay. So in the same way, this is for training data, and all these transformation I want to do on validation data also. So we have 2 folders, right, train and val. So this one is for training data and this one is for validation data. So guys, what happened when we perform this augmentation? So basically we are providing a variety of different scenarios to our model so that our model will learn to generalize in a more good way, okay. So that's why we are performing this step. So after this step, in this cell we are providing the path of the folder, the path of your image dataset folder. So our dataset is in which folder? Dataset folder. Let me show you again. So you can see our dataset is in dataset folder, and the Jupyter notebook which I'm showing you is here. So this is the Jupyter notebook I'm showing you, and this is the dataset folder, path of my dataset, and inside it we have like this, okay. Now let's move here, path of your folder, and then here we are creating a data loaders. Now guys, what are data loaders? So okay, so data loaders are responsible to load the data. So we are loading the training data and validation data, okay. And here in this line you can see we are loading the data into mini batches, a batch size of 4. Shuffle true means while training the data will keep on shuffling, and num worker 4 means we want to parallelize the process. So right, at one time 4 different processes can work if we write num worker is equal to 4, okay. And what we are doing here is we are loading the training dataset and validation dataset in the batch size, mini batch size of 4, and shuffling is true if you want to shuffle the data while training, and num worker is 4 because we are parallelizing the work, okay. And here using this line we are checking the number of records which are present in train and val folder. Here you can see I have print the size. So we have 400 images in train and 182 images in validation. So we are getting that with the help of this line, okay. After that, here inside this class names I want to store the folder names, because inside train folder and inside val folder we have 2 folders, dandelion and daisy. So those are our class names. So I want to store that in a one variable. So that's why I executed this line, and you can see when I printed it we get these 2 values, daisy and dandelion, okay. So now we have loaded our dataset. We are ready to use the model to train train on a custom dataset, okay. So for that, here, so guys, in this tutorial what we are doing is we will pick a pre-trained model, okay, the model which is already trained on some data. We'll pick that model, we will freeze all the layers except the last layer, that final classification layer, okay. And apart from that final classification layer, we will freeze all those layers, and then we will fine tune this model on our custom dataset to detect whether the given image to a model is dandelion or a daisy, okay. So for my today's class, I'm using a pre-trained model ResNet 18. Pre-trained equals to true means we are using a pre-trained model. So guys, from where it is picking the model? From the model zoo, Torch Vision model zoo. From there it is picking this model, okay. And now here we are freezing all the layers except the fully connected layer, which is the last layer which is responsible for performing classification, okay. So what we are writing in this loop, that if the parameter contains this FC. FC means fully connected layer. Okay. So if the parameter contains FC, then set the required grads equals to true, and if FC is not there present there in the parameter, then make it a false. What will happen with this, that wherever FC parameter is present, all those layer will be trained, because we are setting the value true over there, and wherever we have written false, all those layers will be freeze. So this is how we freeze all the layers, and we can only fine tune the final layer. Okay. And after that we are using this line. So what this line is, this is a cross entropy loss. So whenever you work on classification problems, so this is the most commonly used method to calculate the loss of classification problem. So that's what we are using. So we need to calculate the loss, right? So that's what we are doing over here. After that we are using an optimizer. This optimizer is stochastic gradient descent optimizer we are using. This is a learning rate and this is a momentum. You can change these values and you can play around. You can see how these values affect your model performance. Okay, so you can, right now I'm using these values are giving me good results. Okay, and after that, here you can see what I'm doing is, if GPU is available, then I want to push all this data to the GPU for the fast processing, and if GPU is not available, then what will happen, the process will take place on CPU. Okay, model to device, we are sending all the model which we are talking about here, this model, we are sending this model to devices here. CUDA 0 means that GPU is available and you want to use it, otherwise CPU you want to use it. Okay, now we can train a model. So this is the cell responsible for training our model, updating the weights, and then telling you the accuracy and the loss of your model. Okay, so we want to train the model for 10 epochs. Again, you can change the value and you can see what kind of results you get. So in my case, the dataset is very small, so I'm just training it for 10 epochs. Okay, so we have two phases, train and validate, val. Okay, so when phase is train, we want to train the model, and otherwise we want to evaluate the model. So this running loss and running corrects, these two variables are used to store the loss and correct predictions inside every epoch. And here we are loading the label. Inputs means the image, and labels mean the output label, the class name. Okay, so we are sending the input and the label to the device, because your model is on device. Which device? Here we have defined. So it will depend upon your current resources. If your model is on CPU, then you want that your images and labels should be on CPU. If you're using GPU, then these input images and labels should be on GPU. So that's why we are using two devices. Okay, so that your model and your data should be on the same device when you want to work. Okay, so after that, this optimizer dot zero grad, what it does, it clear the gradients from the previous iterations. Okay, and after that, over here what we are saying, that if phase is train, then we are using model to make predictions, model, and then we are providing inputs. What is there in inputs? Are images. Okay, so we are providing input images to the model, and the prediction of the model is stored in outputs. Okay, and then this line is responsible for showing you the predictions, right? And then over here we are providing the outputs. What outputs? The predictions of the model. What is the prediction of the model? Your model will provide the label to the images, right? So all those predictions are here and are actual labels. Okay, our ground truth labels are actual labels, and the predictions of the model we are doing it here. And what is there in criterion? Remember here, cross entropy loss. Okay, so we are comparing the output label and our current label, and on the basis of that we are getting the loss value. And if the phase is trained, so this how we work in deep learning, how CNN work, convolutional neural network. So there is backward pass and the forward pass. First we go the forward pass. Okay, forward pass means you provide input to the model process that image and provide you the corresponding label. Okay, and then in back propagation, then we have backward pass. During backward pass, what we do is we calculate the gradients and then we update the weights, and after that again we use the forward pass to train the model, to work on the model again, train the model again with the updated weights. Okay, so that's what we are doing. We are performing backward pass, and then in backward pass what we are doing, we are calculating the gradients, and after that in this line we are updating the weights on the basis of calculated gradients over here. And then this running loss and running correct, it is storing all the losses and the all correct predictions. And these two lines, epoch loss and epoch accuracy, these two lines are helping you to see the epoch wise loss and epoch wise accuracy. You can see training loss is this, training accuracy is this for the first epoch, and validation loss is this, and validation accuracy is this for the first epoch. In the same way, for every epoch you will see this training loss and accuracies. Okay, so after 10 epochs, this will you will see this kind of result, and finally you will see a training complete, which means you have your model ready. Okay, now trained model. Now let's save this trained model so that in future whenever you want to use this model, so we can just import the saved model and we can perform predictions. Okay, so using this line I'm saving the model. When you'll execute this line in your current working directory, you will have a file with this name. This is your saved model. Let's see where this file is. So in my case, this is the model. Okay, so now we will load this model and we will perform prediction on an unseen image here. So guys, now always remember, while testing your model on unseen data, it is very important that you have to perform all the image pre-processing steps you have performed for your training images. You have to perform all those steps for your test images also, so that you get good results. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. Here you can see, first of all I'm loading the model. How we have to load the model? First, this is the pre-trained model, and one more thing to tell you guys. So the pre-trained model, Resonate 18 model, which we have used, and we freezed all the layers, and we are only using the final layer, classification layer. We'll fine tune the classification layer, right? So over there, that pre-trained model is trained on ImageNet dataset, which have 1000 classes. Okay, so that means that model is okay guys. One more thing I want to tell you, that when we pick the pre-trained model and we freeze all the layers and we only use the final layers, what it means is we are using a transfer learning, means the model is already trained on some data. So in our case, this Resonate 18 model is already trained on ImageNet data, which have 1000 classes. That means this model is ready to extract the features. Okay, we can use that knowledge from the knowledge from that pre-trained model. We'll use that knowledge to extract the feature, and in the final layer we are only using the 2 neurons which are responsible for telling us if it is a dandelion class or a daisy class. Okay, so that's why I've written 1000 over there. We are loading our model then, and here our model only have 2 classes. Remember guys, if you are working on a custom data set, let's suppose if your data set have 4 classes or 5 classes, then you have to change the number over here. In my case, I have 2 classes, that's why I have written 2 over here. Okay, and then this is how you load the trained model. Once we have that model, so this is the image on which I want to perform the testing, and you can see I am performing all those steps. I'm resizing the image, center crop, converting that image into a tensor, because PyTorch will accept the data in the form of tensor, and then we are normalizing the data. So remember, we have performed all these steps on our training data set also. So I have performed all those steps, and then and all these task is in pre-process variable. So pre-process, I want to pre-process which image? The image which is present over here. And then we are adding a batch dimension. Now here in this line, you can see we are providing our input, this input to the model, and model is finally telling us the output, and you can see the output is Daisy. But let's suppose you want to see the output image with the classification label, then you need to just do like this. Show the image, okay, which image? The image on which we want to work, and then we are showing the class label over here. So this is our image and this is the label. Okay, so guys, this is how you can make your own custom image classification model using PyTorch and CNN. Which convolutional network we have used in our today's class? Resonate 18. We haven't prepared the model from the scratch. Why? Because it is always a good practice to use the pre-trained model in order to gain the excess of all that work which have already been done in that pre-trained model. Okay, so I hope this video is helpful. Thank you for watching.